places in the world under pressure, and then there's Bangladesh, a country where that pressure becomes something else entirely. Too many people, too little space, too many systems pushed far past what they were built to handle. And when everything starts straining at once, the air, the water, the roads, the economy, the very ground beneath people's feet, the result doesn't look like a normal crisis. It looks like something that shouldn't exist in the modern world. But what we're about to break down goes way deeper than what most people realize. Because this isn't just a story about overcrowding or poverty. This is about what happens when an entire nation is forced to operate beyond the limits of what any system can sustain. We're talking about air so toxic it shaves years off people's lives. An economy where children work in the same kilns that are poisoning their lungs. A global supply chain that depends on conditions that most of the world pretends don't exist. And the numbers behind all of it are some of the most extreme we've ever covered on this channel. We're going to show you exactly why. Starting with how 177 million people got crammed into a space that can barely hold them. And ending with a global bargain that most of the world benefits from, but nobody wants to talk about. Let's get into it. Bangladesh is home to roughly 177 million people. That alone is staggering. That's more than Germany and France combined, packed into a country about the size of Iowa. But the number that really tells the story is this: around 1,350 people per square kilometer of land area. That makes Bangladesh one of the most densely populated nations on the planet. And we're not talking about a city-state like Singapore or Monaco. This is a full-sized country with farmland, rivers, and coastline crammed to the edge of what geography can physically hold. And nowhere is that compression more visible than in the capital. Dhaka's metropolitan area holds over 36 million people, and it's growing by an estimated 500,000 every single year. Now, most of these arrivals are rural migrants, fleeing floods, river erosion, or simply searching for any kind of work. Around 30% of Dhaka's population lives in slums. Only about 7% of the city is covered by roads. And according to the World Bank, traffic congestion in Dhaka causes an estimated 3.2 million working hours to be lost every day. Not per month, not per year, every single day. More than a quarter of the city's inhabitants live in slum conditions, and pollution levels continue to climb. That's not a traffic problem, that's an entire economy bleeding out through gridlock, while the people stuck in it can barely breathe. Dhaka receives roughly 2,000 new arrivals every day. Think about that rhythm. The city doesn't grow in waves, it grows constantly, like a pressure valve that only moves in one direction. And the housing stock, the water supply, the electricity grid, the waste management, none of it can keep pace. The result is a city where basic services are in permanent deficit, where the informal economy fills gaps that the formal system can't, and where millions of people navigate conditions that would qualify as an emergency anywhere else except here. It's just Tuesday. Now multiply that pressure across the entire country, because in Bangladesh, even the land itself is working against you. Bangladesh sits on the Ganges-Brahmaputra Delta, one of the largest and most dynamic river systems on the planet. The country has roughly 700 rivers threading through it. Now that sounds like abundance, but in a living delta, it's also a guarantee of instability. Channels shift, embankments collapse, floodplains swallow entire villages, and none of this is a surprise. It happens with seasonal certainty, every single year. Here's the number that should stop everyone in their tracks. 2/3 of Bangladesh sits less than 15 feet above sea level. For reference, Lower Manhattan ranges from about 7 to 13 feet. Now stretch that kind of vulnerability across an entire nation of 177 million people, and you begin to understand why Bangladesh isn't just at risk from climate change. It's one of the front lines. In May of 2024, Cyclone Remal slammed into the coastal regions, impacting an estimated 18 million people in a single event, destroying over 35,000 homes and leaving 2.7 million without electricity. That same year's monsoon flooding in the north displaced over 100,000 more, wiping out homes, infrastructure, and rice fields across entire districts. And this isn't an anomaly. This is the baseline. The World Bank projects that by 2050, up to 19.9 million Bangladeshis could become internal climate migrants. That's not speculation. That's modeling based on sea level rise, flooding frequency, and agricultural collapse already underway. And Bangladesh's relationship with disaster, it's not just environmental, it's foundational. The Bola cyclone of 1970 killed between 300 and 500,000 people.